for Demacia!
Garen is a champion with a very easy to understand kit, which makes him easy to play. Farming is rather easy because of your E ability's AoE damage, and you have a regeneration passive making the lane phase a little bit easier for you. Then there is his very strong ultimate, which is a great execute because it does damage based on the target's missing health. All in all, he's a very strong champion, especially early on in the lane phase that's very simple to understand and play. Although Garen is a fairly strong champion, he does bring limited crowd control. Due to this, he's not going to be the strongest teamfighter out there. Sure, he does a lot of damage and can instantly delete targets, but he doesn't have a bunch of ways of stopping people from moving and pulling them in, like say a set. If you do make it onto the enemy backline and you can delete a squishy target, he can be very effective, but that brings us to our second con: he is very kiteable. You do have a small movement speed from your Q ability, but other than that, you don't really have a way to get into that backline. For your rune page, you have two different options, and first is going Precision and Sorcery, grabbing Conqueror as your keystone. Conqueror is very effective on Garen because you can stack it really quickly with your Q's auto attack reset or just spinning with your E ability. It'll give you some nice extra damage as well as some life stealing. Increase your damage further in the Precision tree, and then get Axiom and Celerity in the Sorcery tree. Axiom will just make your ultimate do a little bit more damage, and Celerity is really strong because your movement speed gains, like from your Q ability, will be even stronger. For your second viable rune page, you have Sorcery and Resolve, getting Phase Rush as your keystone. This is really nice on Garen because one of the big things against him is his mobility, and this gives you just a little bit more. As long as you can hit an enemy 3 times, this will give you a nice chunk of extra movement speed as well as slow resistance. Increase your damage and mobility a little bit more in the Sorcery tree, and then go into Resolve and get Second Wind and Overgrowth. Second Wind is really nice because you get even more regeneration, and Overgrowth is just going to give you more of a health pool. If you prefer, you could always go for Demolish or Bone Plating as well. They're all viable options. For your summoner spells, we first have a must grab, Flash. Garen has some nice movement speed from his Q ability, but he doesn't have any dashes or jumps, so Flash is going to be great for you. You can use it to jump forward to get on top of a squishy target, or you can always run away with it as well if you get caught in a bad position. For your first viable second summoner spell, we have Ignite. Ignite is my personal go-to on Garen because it does add a lot of kill pressure, and Garen is one of those champions that can easily get snowballing. If you did want to go for more of a split push style though, you could of course take Teleport. This will be a better option if you're looking to sit in the side lane more often and still want to join teamfights and objectives. Now let's kick off your abilities looking at your passive, Perseverance. This is just an innate ability that gives him life regeneration based on his maximum health every 5 seconds. This is lost for 8 seconds whenever he takes damage, and then he'll start gaining health again afterwards. There's not too much to say about the ability. It is pretty nice in the lane phase if you can back out and get some regeneration, but that's about it. Next we have your Q, Decisive Strike. When activated, you'll remove all slows and gain 35% bonus movement speed for the duration. Your next attack will also lunge at the target, dealing bonus physical damage and silencing them for 1.5 seconds, and it also resets your basic attack timer. This here is going to be your main way of getting on top of an enemy champion because of the bonus movement speed. It's pretty easy to forget that this also removes slows, so keep that in mind while you're playing throughout the game. Once you do get to that enemy and hit them for this damage, they will be silenced so you can follow up with your E and not be able to be stopped. Your W ability is Courage, which first passively gives you bonus armor and magic resist based on your kills. When you activate the ability, you'll get damage reduction for 4 seconds, and for 0.75 seconds you'll also get a shield and 60% tenacity. That of course doesn't last too long, but if you time it properly you can really reduce crowd controls as well as block a lot of damage with the shield. That's pretty much all you have to do to effectively use the ability though. Use it right before a crowd control to get some nice tenacity and block a nice chunk of damage. The damage reduction is also pretty massive as well because at max rank it's 41%, and 41% damage reduction is pretty insane. Next is your E ability, Judgment. When activated, you'll become ghosted and deal physical damage around yourself for 3 seconds. The amount of attacks during the spin scales off of your bonus attack speed. As long as an enemy is hit 6 times, they'll also get 25% armor reduction for 6 seconds. The closest enemy will take 25% increased damage, and you can recast the ability to end it prematurely. This AoE damage can also critically strike. This is your main source of damage and what we'll be maxing first. Either use this ability in trades to do a lot of damage or shove minion waves because it will take them all out with just one ability. And now we have your ultimate, Demacian Justice. When activated, you'll do true damage to the target, revealing them for 1 second, which is based on the target's missing health. You can use both your Q and E ability to get the enemy low and then finish him off with this ability. It's also got a 400 range, which is pretty nice because it can go over short walls, or if the enemy does flash mid-cast, it will still hit them. Just be sure to use this on targets that are already pretty low so you know that it's going to kill them. For your skill order, first take your ultimate whenever you can at 6, 11, and 16. Then, since it does a lot of damage in trades and team fights, max your E ability. It's also great at pushing minion waves really quickly. Follow up by maxing your Q ability second. It's also incredibly strong because the movement speed duration does scale with the ability. Then finally, max your W ability last, but make sure you take a point early on at level 4 so you can activate it as a really strong defensive and shield. Your first combo is very simple, and it's your quick trading combo. All you do here is auto attack the target, use your Q as a reset, and attack again. This will just be 2 attacks so you can get on the target really quickly to win a trade in a very short duration. You could then use your E ability, keep auto attacking, or disengage for next trade. For your next combo, we add in your E ability. To pull off this combo, just activate your Q for its movement speed, auto attack the target, and then spin and hit them with your E. This combo is really effective and one you will use rather often because it closes the gap on the target, silences them, and then you can use your E to safely spin and win the trade. As long as you are level 4 and above, you can activate your W as well as a defensive when you're spinning. And for your last combo, we add in your ultimate and flash to all in the enemy. Activate your Q ability and then quickly flash on the target and auto attack, and then follow up with your E, and when the target is low, execute them with your ultimate. This combo is just a way to quickly catch somebody off guard and delete them. You don't have to use the flash here, but it is something you can use if you want to quickly close a gap. Garen is a champion that can bully the vast majority of tanks and bruisers in the top lane, so he has a lot of really good matchups. Here is 5 of his best ones though. We have Gwen, Cassante, Riven, Jax, and Poppy. All these champions do get fairly shut down whenever you silence them, so you want to engage with your Q, and then you can activate your E and spin for some pretty easy damage. When these champions do then try to trade against you, activate your W to really reduce that damage. In the lane phase, you want to look to bully these champions as much as you can as your last hitting minions. For your harder matchups, we have a lot of ranged ones that can kite you rather easily like Teemo, Vayne, Kayle, and Ryze. Tahm Kench is then just a really annoying tank that's great in trades that can poke you and stop your regeneration as well with his tongue lash. Usually your defensives, regeneration, and your Doran's shield will be enough to deal with the harassment, but the problem is these champions pretty much all outscale you. You'll want to try to all-in them with your jungler whenever you can, but if you're having trouble getting on top of them, you may need to roam and try to snowball the game that way. In the early game, you'll be looking to harass the enemy champion as much as you can while still last-hitting minions. Garen is a very strong early and mid-game champion, so you want to use that to your advantage and try to either kill the enemy or push them out of lane. Whenever one of these happen, make sure you shove that minion wave under tower ASAP with your E ability's AoE so they miss a lot of gold and experience. In the mid and late game, you either want to split push side lanes or take your strength to team fights and help your teammates. If you did take Ignite instead of Teleport, make sure you roam earlier and make it to those dragons and other objectives. You can do an absolutely insane amount of damage in a really quick time if you can get onto a squishy target, so that'll pretty much be your goal in those team fights. Quickly bring them low with your Q, E, and Ignite if you do have it, and then execute them with your ult. As you roam around the map to other objectives and engagements, make sure you're activating your Q ability. It'll give you a nice chunk of movement speed and can get you there a lot quicker. And that brings us to our item build, which starts with a Doran's shield and a health potion. If you feel like you're against a very easy matchup, you could go for a Doran's blade as well, but generally I find I get a lot more from the Doran's shield. We then move on to our core items, which is a Stride Breaker and a Phantom Dancer. Stride Breaker is really nice because you get both offensive and defensive stats, some extra AoE, and you can always activate it for a slow, so Garen can have an easier time staying on a target. Keep in mind when you are spinning in your E ability, you can still activate this item, so you can activate it and slow them so they can't move out of your spin. Phantom Dancer is then really nice because your E also scales off of attack speed and crit, but this also gives you extra movement speed and you will be ghosted so you can freely run through minions. Then you'll want to pick up your boots and you can get either Berserker Greaves, Swiftness, Plated Steel Caps, or Merc Treads. A lot of the time I'll even go for Berserker Greaves before my core items just so I get some extra movement speed and attack speed. He's one of those few champions where getting boots before your core items is actually a really good idea. So once you've got these 2 core items and you've picked your boots, you want to go into your item pool and finish up, and first up is a Spear of Shojin. This item's kinda slept on Garen, but it is incredibly strong. With just 1 Q and E, you can get the 4 stacks of this ability, increasing the rest of your ability damage by 12%. This means when you go on a target and hit them with your Q and an E, your ultimate will do 12% more damage as long as your full spin hits. If you really want to go for all offense, you could go for Infinity Edge as well. It's not something I build too often, but it is viable. If you're then looking for a way to get Grievous Wounds on a target, you could always go for Mortal Reminder. It gives you some nice armor penetration at the same time, so against those tankier teams, it's a great item. Now another one of those items great against tankier teams is a Black Cleaver. When you get full stacks of this on a target combined with your ease reduction, you can reduce an insane amount of armor. Then if you want a mix of offense and defensive, Sterak's Gauge is great as well because it will give you a nice durable shield. Finally, in the case that you need a pure defensive, you can get Dead Man's Plate or Force of Nature. Both are very strong on Garen because they give you added mobility. If you need armor, go for Dead Man's Plate, and if you need magic resist, go for Force of Nature. And that covers everything I've got for top lane Garen. If you guys did enjoy the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, have a good day, and peace.